ikue updates, ama ukipenda ikue live. Na leo tumebahatika tuko hapa na Eriko, anaitwa Erick wakili. Yes. So maybe we'll start with you introducing yourself.
Asante. Yeah. Mimi naitwa ERICK NAKHURENYA. Watu wengi hawajui mimi baba yangu ni askari na nizo mwana wa mskari. Baba wa Roma, unajua baba Roma alisoma Teremi. Hiyo kizungu yote anaongea ni ya Teremi, alafu akaongezea kidogo kule Kamsinga. So ndio akaenda Kamsinga. So mimi nilisoma Teremi, nikatoka Teremi ile degree yangu ya kwanza.
Alumni?
Mimi ni alumni.
Wa mwaka gani?
005.
05.
Yes.
Correct.
Mimi na huyu jamaa anaitwa Chris, huyu branch manager wa hapa I&M hapa Bungoma. We were classmates.
There used to be a guy called Chris, alienda akakuwa GSU, baadaye alikuwa anacheza volleyball.
Oh, Chris, unajua Teremi ilikuwa inajulikana pia sana kwa volleyball.
Yes.
Hapo nyuma. Na pia kimasomo of course. Lakini nasikia in 90s Teremi ilikuwa inasumbua sana. Lakini wakati wa Ngesh, the late Japheth Mangeni, principal, alibadilisha shule. Sasa sisi ni vijana wa Ngesh. Wale ambao wanajua the late Japheth Mangeni, wanajua yeye ndiye alikuja akatoa utundu Teremi.
Alipambana na
indiscipline. Na sisi tukanyoroka kabisa. Nikatoka pale na Mungu akanisaidia, nikaenda Masinde Muliro University. Nikienda Masinde Muliro University nilienda kufanya education. Mimi shahada yangu ya kwanza, mimi ni mwalimu wa biolojia na kemia. And I think that is what my father wanted me to pursue. So nilipomaliza nikapata chance ya kufanya bank badala ya kwenda class. So I did my 4 years with Equity Bank. Nikatoka hapo nikaresign, na kwa ajili nilikuwa na ari ya kukuwa wakili tangu utotoni. Nikaenda University of Nairobi, nikaanza fresh. Unajua shida ya kuwa wakili, unachapa 4 years, umalize uenda about 2.5 years kule Kenya School of Law, umalize yote tena ukuwa admitted. Sasa hiyo yote nilifanya na nikapata ufanisi, nikamaliza, nikakuwa admitted to the bar as an advocate of the High Court. So leo hii tukizungumza hapa Edu, mimi ni wakili na si wakili tu, but I can represent you in court, in any court in this country.
Before tuende sana, kivana turudi hapa nyuma.
Na pia nilikuwa student leader nikiwa university ya kwanza. I was a student leader, high ranking student leader in charge of academic.
Teremi naona unakuenzi sana. Uko student leader huko?
Teremi nilikuwa mwakilishi wa Christian Union. I was very vibrant. Nero wa Edwin Edu.
Watu wengi wa Christian Union at high school walifika vile walimaliza tu hivi wakaeka wokovu chini.
Hapana. Yes, no. Mimi nimehudumu as a leader in Christian Union pale Teremi. Tulianzisha kitu ya prayers every evening. Unajua Teremi tulibadilisha sana si kwa miundo misingi tu na mambo ya usomi, lakini hata wanafunzi tulibadilisha in terms of discipline. Na nikimaliza hata pale Teremi as a leader in Christian Union, pia wakati nilienda university, in both my universities, both Masinde Muliro University and University of Nairobi, nilikuwa tena in charge of Bible study coordination in my first university. Na pale University of Nairobi nikienda Parklands School of Law, I also served in PCCU, Parklands Christian Union. Yeah. So for me that's my life.
Okay. Umesema wewe umezaliwa huko Machakos, lakini wewe ni wa hapa.
Mimi nimezaliwa
gani?
Omugimwei. Omwiwana Muyemba.
Mshua baki Mwei akina mheshimiwa
wa Munyenye.
Sasa hiyo wanajua wewe ni mtiani.
Wa Munyenye mziliko mundu wazania. Mleboza kabisa. Angalau hii jina NAKHURENYA mai omwiwana mubisho. Nono babuya izina lya NAKHURENYA lili yabwe. Nono ne nakana babuya bali wewefwe malabungali tu bale bebazani. Nakucha baki Mwei NAKHURENYA lili yabwe. So for me I think I have the benefit of being regarded as either Muya or Omukimwei or So it's a name, it's our name here locally.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before we go deeper into the topic of the day,
yes,
back home, especially huku Chwele,
yes, yes, yes.
Growing up,
Mm-hmm.
you can just give us a few of some of the exciting moments.
Mimi Edu, nilikuwa mcheshi sana. Yaani kitu ya kwanza yenye nilifunzwa na wazazi wangu ni kusalimia watu. Salamu, usinyime mtu salamu. Namba 2, niliambiwa kwamba rika ya baba yako ukimpata msalimu baba. Rika ya kuka. Ndugu wandase. Hivyo. And I grew up like that. Nakumbuka nikiwa primary siku ingine, kwa bahati mbaya nilikuwa mgonjwa. Kuna jirani akapita akanipata, nilikuwa nimelemewa, nimelala. Na akaanza kulia, akasema huyu ni kijana mwenye alikuwa na akipita anatusalimu. Na wazazi wangu hawakuwa. Akanibeba, akanipeleka hospitalini. Nilikuwa nimeishiwa nguvu kabisa. So wazazi wangu walinipata kama nimepelekwa hospitalini. Na the reason is, huyu jirani alikuwa anasema huyu ni kijana mmoja ambaye anapenda kusalamia yeye sana. Number 2, Edu, sisi kwetu tulikuwa tunapanda mahindi ya mapema. Kwa hara anazo mwami. Yes. Mahindi imetosha. Yani it's ready for mahindi choma. So kule Sichei primary sisi mimi nilikuwa napenda naenda nachuna mahindi ya mzee hata bila idhini, na pea walimu na pea ndugu zangu classes. I was very popular.
Generous sana.
Generous, yeah. Ile yenye unachukua mahindi. Na mimi sikuwa najua ati inafaa tena niombe niambie baba ati nikate mahindi. Nilikuwa najua mahindi kama iko tayari, na sisi pekee nilikuwa tunapanda mapema kwa kewa. Yes. And then pia nilikuwa footballer. I was very good in football, lakini sasa shida ukiwa primary nilikuwa nacheza hii lifundo. Hii yenye umefunga na karatasi. So sisi ndio tulikuwa wale kadenge na mpira. You know those days those were like heroes names. Kadenge na mpira. Kadenge alikuwa anajulikana sana. Abbas, Raila na mzee alikuwa, unajua babangu naye alisoma Busakala Secondary. Yeah, na alikuwa pia footballer. So mimi pia nilikuwa na grow nikijua either nitakuwa footballer na nifanye mambo mengine. Lakini wakati nilikuwa Teremi Boys nikachinjwa mguu. Alafu one of this my left hand nikavunjika, nilikuwa nacheza na nikiwa form 2. Na mzee akakuja akaniambia, sasa wewe wachana na football, nataka concentrate kwa masomo. But I think I could have ended up as a very good footballer in this country. Kila mtu ako na sehemu yake. Asante.
That is very good.
Yeah.
So you grew up through studies, ukamaliza mambo ya law.
Yes.
Your first job?
My first job was a banker. I worked in the bank. I worked partly in Nairobi, then Equity Bank. Then nilianzia Nairobi.
That should have been when Equity ilikuwa inaanza.
Hapana, nilipata my first job in 2013. Equity has existed for a very long time. Yeah, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. Na unajua 2012 tulipiga campaign hapa Bungoma sana. Na mimi nilikuwa kijana rafiki yangu Governor Lusaka wa saizi. Mimi ndio nilikuwa coordinator wa vijana wote.
Nakumbuka wewe na kina Ignition.
Yes, vijana mimi. Kuna ule alikuwa PA wa governor Namibia. Alikuwa anaitwa Namibia. Hiyo jina Namibia sio jina yake kamili. Nafikiri ni jina ya mzee, alikuwa amefanya kazi. Pia alikuwa kijana ya askari. I think hii unapata umepelekwa Namibia, ukirudi naambia unaitwa Namibia. Ukienda Bosnia, ukirudi naambia wewe unaitwa Bosnia. Yaani majina yenye unapewa kulingana na kazi. Kama mimi nimesema mimi ni kijana ya askari. Ukifika huko kwetu nyumbani, kwa vile mzee alikuwa anafanya Kenya prisons, wanamuita kwa prison. Yaani au kusema ndio
kwa prison.
Prison. No yako hapa bwanga bandu, but it's just a name yenye amepewa kwa ajili ya kazi ambayo alikuwa anafanya. Lakini pia mzee alituweka laini. Ewewe bubeita. And then when you visit us, we are able to scan you. Even a small kid atajua kama wewe ni mkora, anaanza kukuangalia kama mtu mkora.
Mapema tu.
Because we are trained to really assess people. When you the first contact, you need to get the right impression of that person. Akikuwa mkora
probably he was training you guys to be DCI na put you line ya polisi kama
no, ni lazima ujue watu. When you interact with people, you really have to study them.
All right.
Asante.
So after Equity?
After Equity, I resigned. By the way, I had a chance to declare my interest to run in Mukuyuni ward in 2017. Things didn't work out the way we had expected.
That was still against Mheshimiwa Meshak?
That time it was I competed with Museveni. That time alikuwa ameanguka kura.
And Akina Masibo were also there?
Yes, they were there. Yeah, Masibo understand. So after that, I said it was high time for me to go back to school, because all along, even when I joined banking, I wanted to pursue law early in life. Lakini unajua pia ilikuwa unatafuta pesa kidogo. Law pia is a bit expensive. Now umekuwa mtu mzima, lazima ujisomeshe, uko na familia. By the way, I'm a family man. Mimi niko na familia.
Hapo tusahau hiyo. Unaweza kuwa labda uko na wanasemanga mawe tatu.
Mawe yangu ndio inatembea nayo. Natembea na mama. Yeah, so mimi nimeoa, niko na familia, niko na jamii kubwa sana.
Wale wanajulikana watoto ni wangapi?
Wenye wanajulikana hao ndio wako tu. I have 2 girls and 1 boy. And of course at my age maybe there could be others on the way.
Congratulations. Unaweza kuwa na kuna wengine wala wajulikana.
Maybe. Hapana, wangu wanajulikana. Saa hizi hapana.
Safi. So ukasukuma job, then at some point you resigned.
I resigned willfully because I knew banking ingeni tie down. Mimi ni community person. Nikimalizana na university mara ya kwanza tulikuja hii mambo na National Youth Council hapa Kabuchai. Tukapepetana kidogo na vijana wenzangu. Mimi nilikuwa elected. In fact, I led in all the elections in Kabuchai constituency. Hakuna mahali Kabuchai, hakuna ward yenye sijui. Hakuna ward yenye mimi sijulikani. And after National Youth Council, because now I was elected up to the district level, we moved to regional. Hiyo wakati the current senator pia alikuwa kwa vitu za National Youth Council. Tukienda naye yake kwa Kandui, tukienda wote Kakamega. And then because my interest was pale kwa district, pale Kabuchai, Bungoma Central, I thought I could channel my energies back at home. We've done quite a lot. Tumejenga one of the water springs near the dam, behind the DCC's residence hapo Chwele. Hiyo wakati nilifunganisha vijana wengi sana. Mimi kuna kijana anaitwa engineer Grivin Wasike, mama yake ni former principal, na alinifunza pia mwalimu wangu Teremi. Nikafunganisha huyu kijana anaitwa ERICK Wekesa, mwenye amesimama kura ya Chwele Kabuchai. Yeye alikuwa part of us. Yes, ERICK Wekesa. Na hata huyu there is an assistant chief. Saa hizi assistant chief mwenye amesimamia Chwele anaitwa Amos Wamalwa. Yeye ni assistant chief wa Sichei. Lakini kwa saa hizi ameshikilia pale Chwele kwa ajili mwenye ako Chwele ameenda masomo. Huyo Amos Wamalwa tulikuwa naye kwa vijana, but yeye alikuwa umri mkubwa. Tukajenga hiyo water spring. Plus many other few projects. Hiyo haikujengwa na pesa ya county government ama CDF. Tuliandika proposals through a community based organization called Jubicom. Tukaandika proposal, ilikuwa ni pesa ya World Bank. World Bank ilikuwa imefanya funding through the former Ministry of Special Programs. Special Programs ilikuwa napewa pesa. We did proposals, zikakuwa vetted. Ours was among those ones that was given money.
So just for the sake of those who don't know where this spring is,
yes,
would you just please explain kidogo?
There is tuko na water, tuko na dam ya Chwele hapo kwa soko.
Hapa mahali wamejenga hizi barabara.
Karibu Mnanda. Lomazalubu. Karibu za Mnanda hao. Ule ndesabel is the biggest one. Engene ni supply damage. No chako bandika bali 2015. Sisi ndio tulijenga hiyo. There is no MCA, there is nobody who can claim. Ilikuwa project ya NRM, Natural Resource Management. Na tulisema sisi kama vijana, maana hatuna pesa, we can use our brain to do proposals. And for me, I started as a consultant in proposal writings. I've written so many proposals. By the way, I also got into trainings as a strategic plan consultant. As we speak, I'm a public policy consultant. I began by having trainings in proposal writings. I've written for so many organizations. I've written for so many schools in this county. Some have gone to top officers in this county, maybe the governor, maybe speaker, and all that. I have also guided a number of my teams in strategic plan management for so many schools. If I start counting schools that we've worked for in Bungoma, in Kakamega, in Uasin Gishu, in Nairobi, there are many.
Name five, top five.
Top five?
Yes.
Bungoma or where? Just tell me.
Just Bungoma.
Chwele Girls, Teremi,
and
maybe
you can also benefit your viewers, or our viewers, with what exactly the policy was all about.
For schools, we've done what we call strategic plans. Strategic plans, and I've had the privilege of addressing hundreds of boards of schools, other than being a member of some of them. If we go to Sirisia, the top school in Sirisia, we have Namuela and Chwele Girls. If you go there, you'll find our names there. ERICK NAKHURENYA, Felix Lusa. You know Felix Lusa is a consultant, a full-time consultant. I've worked with him for more than 10 years. Come here to Bungoma town here. There is Bungoma Baptist. There is Mwibale wa Manja. Go to Kapchai. There is Teremi. There is Chepkaga Girls. Those top schools. But that does not mean we just work with top schools. Go to Nalondo Girls here. Our names are there. Go to Wabuhonyi. Go to Chesamis. Go to Kimilili. If you go to Kimilili, go to the top school like Moi Girls Kamsinga. Even the current chief, in fact, that was launched about 2 years ago, the current chief, Madam Joyce, chief principal, Madam Joyce. We've worked for that institution. Go to Kakamega. I'll give you top schools. Go to Mukumu Girls. It's called the Sacred Heart. We've worked for them twice for the last 10 years. That is our team. If you go to Nairobi, there are quite a number of schools. If you go to Elgeyo Marakwet, there is a school called Singore Girls, a top girls school.
Do you get these policies implemented, or you just write and you...
Strategic planning is simply a guide on what you need to achieve within this plan, within these timelines. The best is usually 5 years.
See,
even as a country...
My question still stands. After you draft the policies, you hand them over to the institutions.
You don't draft, you pick their views. It is them. You as a consultant, all you need to do is get the right structure. You have to advise them on what is achievable within these timelines. Because the biggest headache is normally the financial constraints. Yeah.
So my question is, of the many schools that you have done these proposals for, how many do you think, how many in your view have implemented your policies?
One, not my policies. They are strategic plans.
They are strategic plans.
They are proposals.
As drafted by you?
Yeah, as guided by our teams. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, what happens is usually there are those that will implement 100%. There are those that will be about, will do about 60 or 70. You can imagine, if they can be able to do 70, that is good enough. Because usually the challenge will be financial constraints and largely leadership. Because by the end of the day, it's about resource mobilization. If you walk around across the country, most institutions, including even the county governments, they're struggling because of financial constraints. So in any organization, whether it's a school, whether it is other organizations outside the education system, even universities, you've seen universities are closing down. Yeah. So some of this brain we've donated to assist our people, because we had to ask ourselves as young people, what is it that you can do to be counted? And you can weave together a team that can be vibrant. I have interacted with the youngsters in Bungoma County. I've interacted with the youngsters across the country. I can tell you without a doubt that Bungoma has brilliant, agile young people. All they need is to be given opportunity to move themselves forward.
Do you think they get those opportunities?
No, quite often we have to struggle. Unlike other regions, when you go to a place like Muranga, when you go to other places like Kiambu, you realize that even the devolved governments, they have set in motion practical programs that have to endear the youth to go and get those opportunities. Either get into trainings, have technical skills that you are giving them. You see, Edu, I come from a background of purely community development. I know in my engagement in terms of giving my history, I have not even talked about some of the trainings I have received. I am among the few youngsters in Bungoma County who have had international trainings. Before National Youth Council came, by the way, you know, these social media platforms and international trainings have come in a bit late in this country. Some of us, Edu, we've had these opportunities to be trained on international platforms. For example, we have a Commonwealth Department for Youth. Kenya is part of the Commonwealth countries, that you know, because we were colonized by the Britons. And for that reason, we have these chances of training young people across the globe. There's a program that was, it's normally run every year, but in 2013, 2015, there was a program called Discovering Young Leaders Program across the globe. I had a chance to interact with youngsters in Kenya. We applied, we were picked. I was among the people who were shortlisted for 6-month training. There were people in Nigeria, there were people in Malawi, there were other people even in Pakistan. One of my daughters is named after a friend in Malawi because I got the international platform. I got that training in terms of what can you do within the community at a young age. I also had an opportunity to be trained by this organization in Zambia for youth development. I also got training with the Kofi Annan Foundation. I am still a member even long after Kofi Annan died. I also got a chance to be trained by the Obama's initiative of YALI, Young African Leaders Initiative, by Barack Obama when he was the president. I was in the youth category. I got a training with the Mandela Fellowship Foundation. And finally, I got a training with the University of Minnesota on youth intervention strategies. It is for that reason, some of us, actually personally, Edu, I thought I was going to serve in the county government in the docket of the youth. I was so passionate, full of energy. There is so much we thought we could, if we were given a chance, we could have donated ourselves to serve effortlessly, willfully, passionately. Because I believe that passion is visible for those people who have a heart for the community.
Do you think the training you've gotten so far has helped the community?
Yes. I run a number of projects. I have been advocating for community-based organizations, from youth, for women, and we do those trainings for free. When I was a young person in during the 2015, 2012, all the way to 2018, I opened a shop, a cyber shop, just near the DC, under the banner of Jubicom. What were we doing? Chwele, we will be giving them free space. We also wrote another proposal to UNEP, United Nations Habitat. They gave us computers. I mean, Edu, I have done lots of these proposal writings in the interest of the community. We were given about 10 computers. We positioned them there. We also had others. Luckily, when I got a chance to work in the bank, I decided not to use my influence. Among the youngsters who were in Chwele, I was the only one who was employed that time. And you know, you are coming with the brand of a banker. So most of the things I was doing there with other people, we were doing it for free. If you need to apply for help, come, sit down, free of charge, apply, go home. A number of youngsters who applied to go to universities those days, we were assisting them. Those who were having a challenge in terms of the requirements and the procedure, we were assisting them free of charge. That is community development. And because we did not have funds to, I mean, you're not in a position, you're not elected, so you cannot go and build a road, but you can still touch lives. Most of these youngsters, they are now employed in different areas. Some of them have families, some of them probably have succeeded, and they appreciate that some of us, when we got a chance to serve the community at that young age, we did our best.
Okay,
yeah.
You have talked much about you and your profession.
Yes, yes.
Let's talk about criminal justice. you have done?
Even before that, You see this KMTC that is at Stay, for a very long time, it was offering these simple courses of records and blah, blah. And I engaged a former Waziri for Health, Waziri Susan Nakhurenyaa. She's a good friend of mine. And you remember, I played a key role in the Ford Kenya party primaries in the last elections. So obviously, anybody, yes.
I'm coming to that because I have some questions to ask you, especially.
so before that,
yes.
When she was Waziri, I called her and I told her, Waziri, in this KMTC, how do we diversify the courses so that we also offer those competitive courses? I come from Sichei, I come from Chwele, and we have buildings there, we have land. So I told her, we need something, we need a skills lab. I went and talked to the immediate former principal. There was a lady principal there who was a Mkamba. I've just forgotten her name. Those who are in Stay, they understand. And I told her, what is it that you are lacking? What is it that we can do as a community leader? She told me we do not have a skills lab. I did a proposal for Sichei KMTC. I took that proposal to the speaker's desk. Of course, through the KMTC management. Also did another one, and we forwarded to Susan when she was Waziri. After a few months, Waziri Susan called me and told me, Eric, what else did you say that you need to do at Sichei KMTC? I told her it was a skills lab. They did a proposal. It's on your desk. As we speak, there is a skills lab. Sichei KMTC. As we speak now, they can. Courtesy of our effort to assist that institution. Those are things that at times we do not talk about them, but when you are gifted with certain skills as a consultant, as a public policy consultant, and also as an advocate, I mean, it should not just be a name. A title is not very good as long as it is not adding value to the community.
In this era, you should be talking about what you do.
Yes, you should.
If you ask Mheshimiwa Masika Wetangula, he will tell you that he is finding it very rough to convince people that he has done anything around here because he prefers not to talk about it. So,
unless you get a forum, you might never talk about it. Yeah, but as long as you're doing the right thing, it's about legacy. Yeah.
Indeed, it is. So, let's move forward.
Yeah, that's fine.
And talk about deeper. We're going deeper into now your profession.
Yes.
Tell us something about the criminal justice in this country, and by extension, we will also have to address the issue of matters politics. Yeah, kuanzia hapo ndio to build pole pole, ndio.
Asante.
Yes.
Yeah, as an advocate, there is so much you deal with. As an officer of the court, the community looks at you as a source of information. We need to guide our people. 2 days ago, I was talking to a gender officer from my home area in Chwele. And by the way, we are going to open a law firm branch here. Of course, our office is in Nairobi, but there is so much interest for people who want our services, and we are likely to just open a law firm in Chwele. You know, Chwele is now as a town with 2 banks. It's a town. Those who are calling Chwele as a market, they should stop calling it a market. It's now a town.
Soon level 6.
It is, and soon level 6. They should call Chwele as a town. Hiyo municipality imechelewa.
Hata naona soko imekuja kabisa.
Yes. Imekuja vizuri sana. So that's a plus. That's a plus. In fact, we'll be talking to Honorable Luke. If he has a problem with the municipality in Chwele, yeye angoje. Sisi watu wa Chwele hatutaki kungoja. We want our municipality so that we start benefiting from World Bank money programs in Chwele as a municipality. I was talking to a gender officer in Bungoma Central and here, and we are being told that you might not know, Edu, there are lots of gender-based violence in Bungoma. I'm just shocked. You know, at times when you read about these things, you might think it's not true. There is a lot of so shockingly defilement cases. There are quite many. And some of these officers, they're asking, what can we do? Can we educate our people? Can we raise awareness? Because Edu, the below 18 years. There is nothing like shetani. You'll just go to jail.
body size here we say kesi yamba ali below 18.
Yes, yeah.
And because actually that is one of the concerns that has been raised several times. But she did not look like an 18.
That she did not look like an under 18. It is your duty.
And you know, ladies never talk about the age.
It is your duty to make effort to know if she's above 18 or not. Hiyo ni kazi yako.
Kuna msichana alafu unaanza kutembea na make sure unajua miaka yake.
Kwanza wamefunga. Unajua wamefunga. Hao watoto wamefunga.
So kuna watu
hii December wanapata hizo cases zimekuwa filed. And the Sexual Offences Act is very strict, is very punitive. Utaenda uweze ambia koti ati shetani alinituma, hapana. Yeah, so the criminal justice it has a number of players. As an advocate, I am a player. The court, either the judge or magistrate, they are players. The police, they are players. The investigative officers, they are players along the justice system, the criminal justice system. At our gender officers, they are part of the chain because some of them are coming to give as prosecution witness. Yeah.
Do you find yourself thinking about some of these cases you find maybe kesi imepita kwa police station wameripoti vizuri wameandika imefika kotini then a few days later or even just hours the accused is in the streets and now the public is up in arms saying, oh,
what happens
mara the police
what happens what happens is unajua saa zingine the public inatarajia kwamba wakikushika ufikwe upelekwe kotini mahakamani ya kwamba inafaa ubaki huko ufungwe ama ukifikishwa tu hivi unafungwa mara moja. Hapana, it doesn't happen like that. First of all, you know the way our court system is designed ni ile yenye haikukuwa mahali kitende kifanyika. So ukiletwa hapa, the court listens. Ukishika pesa, this coin has two sides. Kuna side moja na kuna ingine. So the court must flip the coin. So the prosecution will present the evidence, the case against you, and they must, you know, the standard is different. Hiyo si kama civil, hii ya pesa ati mimi ulinipea pesa na sijakurudishia umenipeleka mbele, hiyo ni civil. Hiyo the standard ni on probability, on a balance of probability.
But just on that one. Nowadays the police around here and I can say it without fear of contradiction that the police wanarukia hizo cases sana za madini.
Sana.
Is it proper that the police get involved?
That's improper. And if there is a police station that is really doing a disservice to the members of the public, it is the police station in Chwele. Hiyo sasa notorious. Most of these police stations, they are engaged in civil matters, debt collection, and then they ensure that if you are not going to pay some money, you're not going to part with some money, wanabadilisha hiyo charge, wanasema obtaining by false pretense. Yeah. If you don't comply, if you don't submit to their demands, they change, because then how else can they make the money issue to be a criminal? So they change and they make it to look like you wanted to obtain this money by fraud, by false pretense, just because now they have kept you in custody for more than 24 hours, and you know that is illegal, so they must present you to court. They'll even actually pick you on Friday so that you behave by Saturday. Right. If you don't behave by Saturday, they now do the charges on Sunday or even Monday morning. Yeah, that's why you need an advocate on your call. Yeah. Now ukishikwa, they need actually to quickly tell you why they have picked you up. But you see, our people again, we are disadvantaged. We also fear police officers so much, and when they engage in illegalities, we are unable to know whether they are doing the right thing or not. But for some of us, we just tell them, this is wrong, men, do your work. This case has no relationship with the criminal aspects.
But nowadays we have.
But I needed to clarify that mtu akishikwa ya kwamba maybe amedefile mtoto ama alikuwa amekupiga maybe in assault, akifikishwa kotini si ati anafungwa. It's a process. Then akifika kotini anaweza omba mahakama ya kwamba vile kesi inaendelea kusikizwa apewe nafasi ya kufanya kesi akiwa nje. So if you are an advocate like yours truly, and I'm appearing for the accused person, I'll tell the court, I'll ask the court to grant my client, the accused person, bail, cash bail or bond. Yeah. And the constitution grants that. It's a right, by the way. It's one of the rights of the accused person. So most likely, they'll give the accused person either bond or bail. And if they can pay, they will be out there. Unless there are reasons, convincing reasons why the accused person should not be released to be part of the public.
There's also one concern that, you know, due to these hard economic times, members of the public at times would not be able to raise funds. And one thing I've also noted is we have increasingly lost those lawyers who would come out and serve pro bono.
Oh, they are there.
Give services pro bono.
They are there, do. I have. You remember recently we had demos in Bungoma.
Yes.
And not just in Bungoma, across the country. Luckily, there are few people who know that I'm an advocate in town here and in Nairobi. They call me from Nairobi. I came around. I came around and I represented our boys, quite a number of them who had been picked up by police officers, by investigative officers. They had even stayed in remand for a few days.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and eventually we were able to convince the court that they had no case to answer, because the prosecution was the one that was under obligation to actually submit convincing evidence. But you see, they were unable to proceed even in terms of charging our clients. So I was doing that purely on pro bono basis, because I looked at the charge sheet, I looked at it and I said these are trumped up charges. I looked at the people who were involved. There were a majority of them were youngsters. Vijana wetu hapa town center, kwa vile kulikuwa na demonstrations na watu wakakimbia hapa town. There are few property that was destroyed, and in a crowd they picked some of them. But you see, it was the duty of the prosecution to prove to the court that indeed these people were actually involved. We asked them to produce the CCTV footage and blah blah. They were unable. Eventually, they were unable to even charge the clients. When it comes to that level, and you have a relatively good lawyer, he'll simply tell the court that, hey, it's taken too much. We want to ask this court not to escort the prosecution.
So, you know, that case, those boys who are, or rather the youths that were involved, might have been very lucky, because it was more or less a political kind of a case.
More of a political case.
But you know that cases like defilement, which in some cases, normally it's just an innocent person who has been, you know, found at the wrong place at the wrong time. But most times, I don't want to say that police get hold of people who are innocent, but these people, what I'm saying is, they might not be able to, you know, facilitate or rather pay for any legal services from a lawyer. And we have scarcity of those lawyers who can give.
What happens? I get what you're saying. Are you talking about lawyers who represent cases in defilement? Because what happens?
Cases in general. Okay, we were just talking about defilement case, but there are so many cases out
Let me bring in this angle.
Yes.
God forbid, a member of your family, of course, there is rape and defilement. Rape is for above 18. You can be accused of rape if you've engaged in sexual intercourse with someone who is above 18 years. But defilement, when you see defilement, it's a minor, it's a child. But by law, anybody below 18 years is a child, is a minor. The age of majority is 18. But of course, in another forum, what happens when you get youngsters defiling each other? A person of 15 and another 14 or 15, 16. Again, we have increasingly courts are they are relaxing punitive measures, because you realize if you do that, if you pursue that angle, a majority of the young people, young men, have ended up in jail just because someone who was 14 years, defiled 15 years or 16 years, got into a sexual relationship with 15 and 14 or 16 and 15. So you send this boy to jail who is 17 years, who is 16 years, and you leave the girl. This girl is pregnant. She gives birth. What happens is, and then you send this boy to jail for 20 years. The productive years of this boy, they have gone. You get that? Huh? So we're having a change in jurisprudence, the decisions of the court. If there are minors who are defiling one another, I mean, courts are trying to balance. Because, again, you'll have denied this girl who has given birth at the age of 16, the child is denied to have access to the father. When you start looking at it broadly like that, then you realize, hey, we need to have a conversation. But that's a conversation you can have at a later stage, because these are minors who are defiling each other. But away was only 18, only 19, only 20, the moment are only 50 years. Only surprisingly, there are people defiling their own daughters, age 9, age 10, age whatever. Such like a person, Edwin, does not deserve to be a member of the community. I just am prison. Yeah. Yeah.
So we also have other cases.
Yes,
let's talk about the cases that are so rampant around here, and especially land related cases. Hapa kwanza hapa shijile tu hii ofisi ya lands hii. Tabu mingi sana. There are cases from one office to another to the streets. Paka huko nyumbani.
Those are many.
I was even surprised that even the government is also involved. You find the county nenda inalima barabara yenye haiko.
I think on that we actually need a session where we can just come and distill. That is so broad. That's so broad. But one thing I can let me mention this. Most of our people, and I'll still use my home area as an example. You want a loan, do, and you think because you have land, you will get a loan. Edu, I am a former banker. You don't get a loan because of the security. The banks do not take.
It looks like my microphone is off.
Is off.
Then, should we switch mics? Pardon?
Yeah. I would.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay.
Are we good to go?
Yes. So we are talking about land matters. Huh? Most of our people, they are actual squatters. Squatters in the sense, unajua kama mtu ni squatter anakuambia hapana, mimi niko kwa shamba ya babu.
Yes.
Watu bado tunakaa kwa shamba ya babu. The father hana title. Babu yake hata kuwa na title. So when we tell you that you are squatter, we are just being truthful. And hiyo shamba haiwezi kusaidia. Hata huwezi tumia kupata loan. Na watu wetu unajua wanaogopa hata kuprocess title deeds.
Yes.
Anafikiria akikuwa na title deed labda itamtempt. Today most of the succession cases are many. You discover that the other day when we lost Raila Odinga, the former prime minister, he left a will. How many people have left wills? A very few. Now, people do not want to will their property, because if you die and you have left a will, it is easier. You can say out of my 50 acres, millions, yet they ought to have just sat down and agreed. Of course, when you come to me as an advocate, I'll charge you. And if I'm a rogue advocate, I'll still ensure that the case doesn't get concluded, so that you keep paying me my legal fees. So there is a need for awareness in terms of land management practices. By the way, one day I had a conversation with my own father, and the other day I was again watching this death of Raila Odinga. You realize in their home they have actually a burial site. That's clear. By now it's very clear. There is no harm for homes to decide that instead of putting burial graves everywhere, because land is not going to be bigger than what we have, there is no harm in having a conversation that, hey, in this home mukono momo mundu na akuile kwa bahati mbaya kana humra wena kana libumbiliefe kana libabwe na. There is no harm in doing that. But our people will say, it is just myth and all that. Death will come, eventually it will come. So we have to pick lessons, because as we move into the future, we are focusing on education and we are leaving also our culture behind. But we need to agree. So most of the land cases in Bungoma and across the country, there are cases of succession because we have left people behind without giving them direction. Yeah.
Okay, I think we need now to switch. Time is not on our side.
Yeah.
So now sound liko sawa? Okay. Let's talk about matters IEBC, by-elections,
Yes.
and 2027.
And remember, I was a senatorial candidate in 2022.
And by the way, there's one question I wanted to ask you, and I think I'll forget. You participated. You put so much in
Kenya.
Was it nominations?
Yes. I was judging of elections.
Yes,
in the party.
What happened after that?
No. I think it was good visibility. I worked with the
Do you
party
feel
structures.
misused?
Of course, yes, I feel let down by the party. Maybe God willing, if the party was very keen to spring up, some of us, I could have arrived here in a GK, I could have arrived here as a VIP. But there is no harm in that. I mean, God has his own plans. I did a lot. I took charge of the party elections. The final list of Ford Kenya, having all the candidates, and the candidate number one on that list was Papa Aroma, because he was running for senatorial seat. His name was number one. The second name was for my Governor Lusaka. And the third name was for the governor candidate for Trans Nzoia, Mheshimiwa Daktari Chris Wamala. We had a governor candidate in was it Kilifi or some county in Mombasa, and then then all the members of parliament, all the MCAs in Kakamega, Trans Nzoia, wherever across the country, anybody, including some parts in Turkana, Kisii candidates. The final list of Ford Kenya, the list of those who have been qualified to run for elections to be submitted to IEBC, it came from ERICK NAKHURENYA.
How many were there?
There are quite many. Of course, if I go back, I can just pull out the list, because I have everything for Ford Kenya as far as the 2022 elections is
concerned. You should be having the figures, man.
No. There were quite many. Of course, there are some areas in the country where we were not fielding candidates. Yeah, and then there were other areas where we didn't have party primaries, but we had candidates. And then we have other areas where people competed and we got the first person, and then there are other areas where there was what you call negotiated democracy. But the final end game is the list that was going to IEBC, and the person who prepared that list was yours truly.
IEBC. Recently there were some appointments.
Yeah.
What's your view on them?
I want to take this chance, first of all, after a very long time, to appreciate members of parliament and to appreciate the government, of course, led by the president, for ensuring, and the members of the civil society, and even the LSK, the Law Society of Kenya, where I belong, to have put pressure on the government to ensure that finally you have IEBC properly constituted. Because we need to build institutions that support governance. IEBC, after the death of the late Chebukati and his team, because now his team had to exit by virtue of having served almost 2 times the entire tenure as IEBC. And we've had back and forth in terms of reconstituting. And one of the challenges is, our constitution allows, it has a lot of freedom. And for that reason, anybody can move the court anytime, any day. Again, with filing, with e-filing, with filing cases online, I mean, you can be here and there are almost 10 cases being filed, yes, against a certain organization in the country. And for the country to have moved to a level where there is IEBC in place. Kenya is such a litigious country. Most Kenyans, they are litigious. We also love going to court, at times either on merit or even on a complete waste of time. Yeah, so of course when you go to court, you must be having a reason, and even when you don't have a reason, the court will be able to listen to you. So finally, I appreciate that the president and the members of parliament, they were able to pass the list for IEBC reconstitution. IEBC is declared under the constitution as independent electoral and boundaries commission, charged with the responsibility of midwifing elections, managing and conducting elections. In management, you don't conduct elections for people who have not been registered. So part of the management is to ensure that a voter is duly registered. And you know that voting in this country is electronic, except in instances where maybe someone is unable to vote electronically, but they must be properly identified. Yes, so IEBC has that cardinal duty, and you know that our elections are fiercely competed for. And at this time, I want to take this opportunity to really appreciate one man, Raila Odinga, for having really pushed the level of transparency in elections to levels that are really admirable in this country. You cannot compare the way our elections are run and managed with the elections in Uganda. Of course, you know that Uganda is getting into the elections, but you can always sit here and say who is going to win.
Yes.
But in this country, really there will be real competition. There is also, of course, other than voter registration, there is verification. There is even cleaning the voter register. I know currently we are having voter registration in different areas, apart from areas where we are going to have the by-elections. I also want to state that because of the high level of transparency and accountability, and partly I credit the former Premier, Honorable Raila Odinga, because the number of cases that have gone all the way to the Supreme Court. You know, in a presidential case, the court that has jurisdiction, the original and final jurisdiction, is the Supreme Court for presidential elections. Of course, usually it's so that once after the election, Parliament is quickly constituted because they are members of Parliament and they can quickly constitute themselves and get their speaker. So already Parliament and Parliament in this country is bicameral. So we have the Senate and we have the National Assembly. So they will always quickly coalesce together and elect the speaker. Then we have the judiciary, the 3 arms of government. Judiciary, usually you already have a CJ and his or her team properly constituted as a court. So the only arm of government which is key in charge of policies and implementation is normally the executive, and the executive is run by the president, who is the head of government and head of the state. So for that reason, in a presidential election, in a presidential petition, if you are convinced that you have an issue with whether so and so won or not, you go straight to the Supreme Court. to avoid the back and forth of starting from the High Court and going to the Court of Appeal and then going to Supreme Court, is because there are strict timelines within which you need to discharge the decision of who is the president, so that you also allow the government not to be held hostage, so that the nation can be able to move. Remember, it's the president who appoints the waziris, the cabinet secretary. Is the president who will also be able to appoint the principal secretaries. Is the president who will be able to make key appointments for consular and ambassadors. So if you do not expedite to make a decision on who is the president, who is duly elected, or whether there is a decision to go back and have a rerun, then you'll be holding the country at ransom and you'll not be moving the country.
What was the impact of demonstrations in all this? Because I remember when Mheshimiwa Raila was pushing for legal battles, he was also doing something on the streets. So the demonstrations, did they have any impact as far as the court proceedings or the end product rather?
Yeah, demonstrations in this country, you know, again, it's constitutionally guaranteed. In this country, you can actually wake up and demonstrate and nobody will bother, as long as you're not destroying property or you are not having issues. But of course, at times it can be met with police force. But there is so much that we have increasingly achieved under the new constitution. And there are many people who fought for this, not just Honorable Raila Odinga alone, but we also understand that he really, as a figure, with his influence, there is so much that we're able to realize. Kwanza alikuwa anasema pitisha na tutabadilisha baadaye. Yeah, so clearly it's not just about demonstration. At times there is a need to get a backup. You need a backup from the streets. There are those who will be on the streets, like members of the civil society, the lawyers and all that. And then you also fight in all fronts.
So it was a backup plan.
It's a backup plan. You always need a backup plan. And quite often, legal reforms, they have not come easy. There are people who have paid their price. And by the way, Edu, some of us, I think we have this kind of thinking of speaking straight and speaking openly and speaking our mind because of even our background. When I was very young, Edu, I read a lot about the late Right Honorable Raila Odinga. I read a lot about Gitobi Manyara. Mzee used to buy newspapers, and then we were having these political magazines. It was called Nairobi. It's still there, Nairobi Law and all that. The likes of Paul Mite, Honorable Jehu Gatabaki, the former MP, I think for, I don't know, Runyenjes or in Gatabaki, the other side. Yeah, and it really shaped our thinking. That time, Kanu was in power. At a young age, in about 1997, 1998, when I was in primary, I already had formed up my mind about the president, the Kanu regime. I never admired the Kanu regime because of the Nyayo chambers, the torture and all that. I read so much about all those people, the Koigi Omwere, a man who never shaved his hair for the period that he was in jail, and even when he left the jail, until Kanu left power. So some of us grew up with that history, and somehow it shaped our views. Yeah, so at times when you meet Nakhurenyya speaking the way he speaks, there is so much. We are who we are because of the experiences that have shaped us. And clearly, some of us feel that as a region, we are left behind to compete favorably with other people. As long as other regions are preparing young people who are raring to go, who today their names are being dropped across the country as presidential candidates, as people who have already emerged. Then when you come in this region, you realize unless you are talking about the old guards, there are no youngsters that we can bravely, boldly talk about them as people who can move this region forward.
So Wakili, you've talked about us being left behind. Does
in many aspects.
Does our love for opposition politics, has it played part in our being left behind?
Not for love for opposition politics. We're in government. It's not the first time we are in government. No.
You remember more?
When the late Wamala Kijana left us in government.
For how long?
For quite some time.
How long were we there?
Yeah, for quite some time. When we got into the Grand Coalition government, we had so many people who are again from this region in government. The thing is this, when you are in power, please empower your people. The challenge we have in this region is we've left out the professional network in the broader conversation. If you look at some of the regions, even when they visit State House, you will see elected leaders escorted by members of the professional group. The leadership in this region.
Politicians want to work with sycophants.
No.
Yeah.
But maybe just this region.
Because you're saying,
when you go to Nyanza, just use this region. But when you go to Nyanza, when you see a county like the Siaya, when they are going to State House, you will see elected leaders, you will see professionals. When they're doing a meeting with the president, there are things they do that you may be a very good leader, but you need a conversation with the masses.
During elections,
think tanks.
During campaigns, for example, Mheshimiwa Ruto had this blueprint done by, in Bungoma specifically, it was led by Edward Kisiangani, professor. And I remember even there was a meeting at one of these, let me not just mention the name, but one of these hotels around here, where the blueprint was now rather drafted. At what point do we blame our leaders? Because now, after they sat down and they were part of this blueprint, and when now, you sit down, now time for implementation.
Yes.
Who do we blame?
You see, a blueprint can evolve. It can be adjusted for the betterment of the initial idea. The late Vice President used to say that a good idea can evolve into a better idea, and a better idea can evolve into the best idea. So the thing is, like when you come around and then you say, the president said we'll have a new machine at Nzoia. The question is, if that is what we agreed, at what point did it change that now you are leasing? I mean, that conversation, you realize there is a change in gears, a switch that is dishonest, that is shrewd in secrecy, that is shrewd in unexplained facts. And to that extent, as one of the leaders in the region, I blame the top leadership of Bungoma.
Is it dishonesty? Is it or is it probably when they make these pronouncements, pre-election pledges and what have you, they do not put into consideration bureaucracy? Because now when you say when I go in, I'm going to do 1,000 kilometers of road. And then you get there and you discover it is not a decision you'll just make. You just wake up and say, okay, and then mulime barabara. I do. That's a lie. Is that what Mheshimiwa Ruto is facing? And the government?
Look at what the president has done in Nyanza. And specifically, look at what the president has done in Homa Bay. My brother, Homa Bay did not even support the current president. What tunaambiwa Ratiri ilibadilishiwa hapa Bungoma, na unajua ni ukweli. It is Bungoma. The reason why we say that Bungoma Ratiri ilibadilishiwa hapa is because Bungoma was a swing vote. Like nearly every county in Western had voted in the opposing side. But then Bungoma pushed hard for one President William Samoei Ruto. And I was part of that team for a reason that I've already indicated. Nilikuwa katikati. And when you have promised to do something, I do. As an honest leader, as a reliable leader, you have to go back and tell people why you changed. There were no reason that were advanced to the people of Bungoma why there was a major shift. We gave Rai pan paper. We know the results. You don't have to talk about that.
My friend was at the forefront.
Who is my friend?
Lusaka.
He's our governor. He's not necessarily.
That is your friend.
He's my friend. Yes. He's my friend.
He was. At that time you were very close when he gave out pan paper. You and him were like this.
No. But
he must have been his advisor.
No. I've never held any position in this county. I have never held. By the way, there are times people think I have had a chance to work with the county government of Bungoma. I have never worked.
That one I know.
As an employee for Bungoma County government. I've never worked with the national government. I've only worked in private sector as a former banker, and then of course as a full-time consultant, and as an advocate now of the High Court. Yeah. So, but well, these are our friends. We cannot disown them, but we just ask them to up their game.
Actually, that one I said on a light note. But of course, we need to.
Maybe accept as a consultant.
We need to hold them accountable. Pan paper, then recently in Zoya,
yes.
And we have seen how things went by. Just the other day, I was hosting Mheshimiwa Hangati right here.
Yes.
And
I watched briefly. Yeah.
You know what he said, and I think our leaders need to pull up their socks. They really need to.
IBC.
Let's talk about, we're still hapo kwa IBC.
Yes.
And let's talk about Gen Zs.
Yes, Gen Zs.
Do you think vijana wetu hawa ni street tu wamependa ama pia watafanya kitu kwa ballot?
One, I want to take this chance to urge young people. We are still in that age bracket, but I'm no longer youth. I left youth category about 3 years ago. But I'm the youthful category. I have been in youth leadership. I continue being there as a community leader. Let us transfer our issues on the streets to the ballot. Because I've listened to some people who are professionals. They'll tell you as long as they can fuel their car, drive to their place of work, open their business and all that, they're good to go. That is complacency. That is getting soaked into comfort. If you will elect an idiot, I'm not saying we normally elect idiots. I'm just saying if you elect someone who does not advance the best interest of a community, of a ward, or a constituency, or for the county, and worse, in the presidency, then you have to take the blame. Because you are part of the people who are not assisting the future generation. Leadership is not just about the current generation. It determines the quality of education. It determines change in policies. It determines funding models for universities. It determines exchequer releases to county governments. It determines exchequer releases to institutions of learning. For that reason, you have a duty to offer direction and meaningful direction, and the starting point is a vote. Ever since I started voting, I voted in 2007, the most divisive election in this country, and of course that time I voted for Baba. The only time I denied Baba, the only time I denied Baba my vote was in the last election, and it's because of the way they drove the BBI thing. But all along, I knew Rao stood for all the good reasons. And of course, it's regrettable that, well, despite the advanced age, he was still a big figure, a father figure in this country. Yeah. So, I mean, let's transfer the protest on the street and get into the vote.
As we conclude on IEBC and elections, do you think President Ruto and UDA, in your view, do you think they still control the huge numbers of votes?
No, they don't. There is a huge challenge. I listened to the president the other day when during the burial of the former prime minister, and he appeared to indicate that he's even in control of the ODM. You see, what the president wants to do is want to project the view that now he is now having ODM, which is the biggest political party, one of the biggest political parties, and then he's controlling UDA. But you see, how far can it go? At the moment, there are so many people in UDA who are not in UDA. There are so many people in UDM who are split. So he's simply painting a picture that the two-term intention is a reality, but that is, you know, William is a political strategist. He's a good chess player, and if you can start by projecting an image that you are in charge of UDA and you're in charge of ODM, to the common person, they might quickly sort of believe. But as we get into the election, we are going to have emerging alliances. Some of these political parties that are big, they will not be there. In fact, if there is one thing that Kenyans should, if William wins the next presidency, he should be denied an opportunity to control absolute majority because of how Parliament has behaved. Parliament is dead. Parliament is dead in this country. It is not doing its work. It is not holding the executive to accountability.
Accountable, yeah.
Parliament is moribund as we speak right now. And by the way, maybe I've not said about this, but I've also been a columnist with Daily Nation and Star newspaper. Yeah, so some of these things I'm saying, I have even written that Parliament is the biggest letdown. I wrote that article before Gen Z's overran Parliament. Yeah, if you go back and check ERICK NAKHURENYA, I wrote that Parliament is the biggest letdown because you are the representative of the people. You don't move and live behind the masses. And under the Constitution, it declares that people, sovereign power belongs to the people. Sovereign power belongs to the people. But secondly, the same Constitution declares that people can exercise power directly or indirectly through their representatives and other arms of government. Therefore, when they overran Parliament, the owners of Parliament, the owners of the country, the owners of the Constitution, they were simply going to tell the members of Parliament, look here, gentlemen, we gave you this job, we've come back to take this job because you are not representing our views as required, as declared under the Constitution. So to that extent, the only arm of government that was not at the risk of being overrun was now the executive. And President William Ruto, when they had even given him, the president is a consumer of raw intelligence. Members of Parliament, he called members of Parliament after passing a very divisive finance bill 2024. Then the president called them. They went there, wamejijaza. And then the president asked them, can I sign this bill? They said, yes. They can now say, sign hiyo kitu bana, iko nini boss, sign hiyo kitu. Then the president told them, unacheza na moto nyinyi. You want me to sign? Sign bana, boss, sign. Then he said, no, we can't sign. You know, they were now hit with the egg in the face. And then they clapped for the president for, again, disowning, failing to sign. What does that tell you? They were acting on the behest of the executive. They had failed to listen to the masses, and that is how they were overrun.
Then we lost lives. The president came up with this group, rather a committee to look into it.
Yeah, victims compensation.
Do you think there's goodwill?
President William Ruto has faced a lot of challenges. One of his biggest challenges, he wanted to do so much within a short time. To me, that was a mistake. If I were his advisor, I could have asked the president to focus on just about 3 areas. One was reviving the economy. You know that he took over the country when the economy was really struggling. It was just to focus on cutting down on inflation and ensuring that the economy reboots. Number 2, he could have focused on reviving agriculture and ensuring there is food security. And having looked at his track record as former minister for agriculture, where he did well, he actually scored. He could have still used that network to ensure that agriculture is revived and revamped. And I think, in my view, he has really tried with fertilizer and all that. Another area that he could have quickly focused on is the matters education. William Ruto could be very popular today. The other day, there is it Professor Mutharika? Is the immediate president elected in is it Malawi or which country? Is it Zambia? The current president who has just been elected, and he just declared that we are going to have free education in that country. You can imagine, in this country there is so much money. We have scholarships for bursaries, we have scholarships for counties, we have scholarship bursaries for CDF, we have money at the ward level, we have ministries and all that. What if this country, if President William Ruto and his government sat down and say, hey, ladies and gentlemen, can we actualize the dream of having free access to education? Even if he just did that for primary and secondary school, people actually thank him he will be very popular. But what has he done? He has reduced exchequer releases to secondary schools. I sit on a number of boards and I know schools are struggling. Even right now as they sit for exams, they are struggling. What has he done? He quickly wanted to change the funding model at the university without proper thinking. So in my view, he's rushy. And for that reason, he wanted to move very fast and left behind the masses. Once you do that, right now William Ruto is playing catch-up games. He even introduced fees to get ID cards. I saw the other day, he was saying now he has reduced the fee payment for ID to, is it to 100 or 150? In the first place, it was not there. He introduced, but he's now engaged in reverse psychology to look like he has now abolished. That is a lie.
Yes, kwa wale ambao mnatujoin sasa hivi. Niko hapa na ERICK NAKHURENYA, wakili, and yeah, mnamsikia vile anaisema, saying it as it is.
As it is. Yeah.
And yeah, kabla tuingie kwa comments zenu, ningependa tu kuambia kwamba muendelee kuzituma. I can see there are quite a number here. We'll be picking a few of them. Zile anaweza address. That will be the last session. But just before then, maybe nilikuwa nataka tuongelee mambo ya exit ya Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga.
The exit of Raila, and of course maybe we'll also delve kidogo in the by-election, especially the upcoming one. But
yeah, sure.
But the exit of do you remember when the late the late Michael Kijana Wamalwa left the political scene? As a people from this region, remember those days? From this region, we had two main people. We had the late Raila Odinga and Wamalwa Kijana, who are the main leaders from the Western Belt. Now when you talk of Western side of Kenya, we are talking about formerly Western Province and all the way to Kisii and Nyanza region. This is Western Kenya. So, you know, the late Michael Wamalwa Kijana and Raila Odinga, they were more or less age mates. I think if Wamalwa was still around, he could still be around the same age. They were actually relatively age mates. That time he was the vice president. Of course, the late Raila Odinga had been shortchanged to be a prime minister. He ought to have been a premier as early as 2003 when Wamalwa Kijana became the vice president and Mwai Kibaki became the president. That was the arrangement. Those were actually the people that we were supporting in 2002. Some of us were still in high school. And for your information, when the late Michael Wamalwa Kijana died, I think I was in Form 2 or Form 3 interim. I remember I cried because he was my idol. When I was in Form 2, I had covered my book, my exercise book, with an interview of the late Michael Kijana Wamalwa and Njehu Gatabaki, the MP for, is it Runyenjes or the other side? And it was an interview about Ketana Somaia. You know, there was that scandal about the importation of the defense equipment, the arms equipment, and Wamalwa Kijana was the chairperson for PAC, Parliamentary Accounts Committee, of course, as a leader of the opposition. There were a number of questions that had been posed to him, and I always loved about how he used to respond to those questions calmly. Yes, with the lawyer's response in a very calm manner, with impeccable English, and I think that was quite admirable at that age. So when he died, I actually cried. Of course, that interview was in about 1997, but of course when he became the vice president at the time, he was still my idol, and he was an idol for many young people who are aspiring either to speak good English or to actually advance in matters leadership. Yeah, so when he died, he opened up an avenue for Raila Odinga to actually now be the main figure in the Western Belt of Kenya. After he showed up at his funeral, yes, with a herd of cows. With a herd of cows. I mean, he was just saying, man, when you are alive, perhaps we had crossed, but in your death, know that we were just competitors, and here we are. I mean, Luyas and Luos, we are neighbors, we are friends, we are in-laws. Yeah, so I'll say it changed the landscape, the political landscape nationally at a time, because even the president now, President Mwai Kibaki, struggled because he had to quickly pick another vice president, and Mudu Awori could not fit in the stature of the late Michael Wamalwa. And Michael Wamalwa, in fact, we normally say that Michael Wamalwa died with NAK. We don't know whether now Raila Odinga has died with ODM. Time will tell. Whether Raila Odinga has died, ODM has died with Raila, time will tell.
What do you think?
I think it's going to be a challenge because Raila Odinga was the stabilizing figure, he was a unifying figure, even by virtue of his age. Those of us, those who are in the party, like the likes of Edwin Sifuna, Babu Owino, I mean, with divergent views, I think there are moments you'll want to oppose, but you look at this father figure in terms of age and stature, then you'll say, fine, I am pushing, but he's told me to hold my horses, but right now, I don't think there is someone who can tell like Sifuna and Babu and many other youngsters in the party that hold your horses, because there is no father figure, there is no unifying figure, and William Ruto cannot be the leader of ODM who can be respected by the likes of Edwin Sifuna and Babu Owino.
Looks like it's every man for himself.
Yeah, so most likely is going to disintegrate. And of course, Oburu Odinga can also not be a perfect match for Raila Odinga.
Yeah. I think Oburu is just a caretaker.
He's a caretaker.
No, caretaker.
But you never know. I mean, the decision can be made, and they can ratify and say he's the
Babu Owino, Edwin Sifuna, Emily, Wanga,
and many others. Yeah, Wandai.
Who stands a better chance of
I don't want to speak for ODM, but maybe just for analysis, the reality is you have to go back and look at the progressive agenda of Orange Democratic Movement. This is a party that has been around for about 20 years, and it still remains a movement, it still remains strong. It has huge party structures across the country. It's one of the largest political parties in this country. It's been very admirable. It has raised many other youngsters. There are people who have grown within that party for more than 10 years, 15 years, or 20 years. So for that reason, it's going to be a battle. There is a shift. There are those now who are in government, there are those who are in the position. Of course, there is ODM in government, then there is ODM in opposition. And Raila Odinga was also quite brilliant. He ensured that at a time he was exiting, not in terms of death, but with or without death. I think Raila Odinga was staring at an official exit in terms of maybe the only election that was going to be very competitive were he to be alive, then it was going to be about 2027. But now that he's not there, whichever way, I think we are going to have those who may want to hold to the president's views, given that they have set their feet in government, and government is sweet, then they'll want to stick there. Then there are those who are not in government and they have nothing to lose. They want to advance the ideals, the progressive agenda of what original ODM stood for. They may also want to prepare themselves for 2027. And more importantly, look here, Edu. People may not know this, but having midwifed the party elections in the last election and being an advocate of the High Court, I understand that we have what you call the political funding. So most of the political parties that have a presidential candidate, by the way, when you have a presidential candidate, the political funding model is based on the number of votes cast in favor of a political party. So if the political party is just to only have governor candidates, and then you get in a coalition where you have one party that has produced a presidential candidate, even if the presidential candidate does not become the president, there are people across the country who have voted for your candidate, and by extension it is for their party. When the funding model for political parties funding is released, it is looked at the number of votes cast in favor of a particular political party. So a political party that has a presidential candidate most likely will be more competitive. It will receive more number of votes cast in its favor. For that reason, UDA and ODM, having competed at that level in a cutthroat competition, they ended up, in as much as ODM did not win the presidency, but in terms of the total votes cast in its favor, for that reason, it is UDA and ODM that controls a highest chunk of the political funding. For that reason, political parties in this country, they are funded by taxpayers. And for that reason, political parties are another area that people will compete to control finances.
Okay, so do you think for the many reasons that we talked about,
so when you say that ODM does not produce a presidential candidate, you are actually finding a way of cutting ODM into the size, especially after 2027, the political funding, I can assure you that that party will receive, it will be way, way below.
So my question is, do you think the ODM is going to split?
All the signs indicate that it is headed for a split, but how they manage that, we do not know. Maybe there might be a way of managing that, but as long as the president also wants to interfere and look like he's going to run the show, there is no way, if I were a member of ODM, I'll allow another member of the party to come and look like he's taking charge. So most likely, yes, it will split.
Just recently we saw Mheshimiwa Natembea with the herd of cattle and his team trooping into Raila's home.
Yes.
The same day we saw Mheshimiwa Wamalwa Eugene and backed up by Mheshimiwa Wamunyinyi.
So clearly
doing the same thing.
Yes.
So my question is, you having worked with most of these leaders,
I've worked with all of them except Natembea. That is my friend. Natembea was not there, but he's a good friend of mine.
the unity we talk about, where do we miss?
I don't talk about the unity.
What is the missing link?
I don't want to talk about the unity.
Yes.
I also want to mention that the exit of Raila Odinga, it also opens up Western. I said the exit of Wamala Kijana opened up Western province, especially for Raila Odinga, because clearly those days it was Raila Odinga and Wamala Kijana. Wamala Kijana for mainly the lawyers and this part of Western region, and of course, you know, had a good national appeal. Then of course, with his exit, Raila Odinga it was very easy for the Wamala orphans to quickly join Raila Odinga by virtue of proximity. I mean, we are neighbors, so it was easier for us to associate with our in-laws. The exit of Raila Amolo Odinga opens up Nyanza region, it opens up formerly Western province, where we have Bungoma, Kakamega, Trans Nzoia and all that. For that reason, we are going to have an emergency of new leadership. When Wamala died, Raila did not need to emerge. He was already up there. So he simply extended his territory. Now Raila has exited. There is no clear person, because we have, like here, we have Moses Masika Wetangula Daktari, Speaker of the National Assembly. We have Mudavadi. Clearly, it is unclear who is, we are in a bipolar. And you see, in a cutthroat competition, we just need one leader. So as long as there is confusion on who is ahead of the other, there is just a need to have a new leadership to emerge. And then these are old guards. Very soon they are also exiting, whether they want or not. They will soon be joining those who have exited, those who have been in top leadership. Just like Uhuru Kenyatta is relatively younger than the likes of our speaker and probably Mudavadi, almost same age. Uhuru exited. So whichever way, you can only expect that with the exit of Raila Odinga and with what looks like we have not patched up clearly Western region, then it opens up the field for new leadership to emerge.
Does the exit of Mheshimiwa Raila create room for Wetangula to rise?
It creates, depending on the strategies they put in. It creates not just for Wetangula, it creates for many people.
No, specifically Wetangula, because coming from this region, he's the only one among him and Mudavadi who is now talking about presidency, if not, even if it's not 2027.
I think the challenge with my very good friend is packaging. My good friend Dr. Moses Masika Wetangula, I've worked with him.
And, you had a chance to package him?
Yes. No. You asked me, I need to respond.
Yes.
Not that I didn't have that duty of packaging him. Actually, he stood and he still stands a good chance, depending on how he packages himself. there are things I've raised within that party. The party understands my view in terms of the SWOT analysis for the party, in terms of bringing the professional network within the party, and avoiding a situation where maybe we just have one or two persons who are think tanks in the party. Look at other regions. When you are in a position, ensure you package and support people with the potential to rise, so that at the right time, when you need them, you can have a fallback to them. William Ruto, yes, when he was with the President Uhuru Kenyatta, go to IEBC. This is IEBC that we are talking about. Take the entire list of IEBC across the country. Check the names. How many are Kalenjins? There are many. William Ruto took time and he put his people in IEBC and in many commissions. You cannot wake up and go and take someone out of the government position. No, it's a procedure. There must be grounds. You cannot say this is a Kalenjin. And I can assure you that when you go to IEBC, and that is how it was also a bit easy for people not to steal the election of William Ruto. Yeah, because he had his people in power. He had a fallback in government.
The very day Raila died, Mheshimiwa Ruto signed into law some cyber crime laws
and many other laws.
What's your take on that?
In my view, the president, I read mischief. He knew that as a country we had lost. I actually want to take time and read, of course I've read the other cyber crime act, but I want to check the amendments in this one, because it's not the first time we're having this one. And we do not, there was no reason, there was no urgency. The signing could have still waited. He had news of the death of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. So as Kenyans, we read mischief. We need to interrogate those laws, and of course, if we find that there are some areas, some provisions that are not in tandem with the law, if we have provisions that are not progressive, that are going to roll back the gains that we've realized under the Constitution, then you can still move the court that this law, despite having signed and ascended to, is a law. The areas that you have issues, and the court can be able to temporarily suspend some of those provisions, interrogate them, and if they are still well-founded in law, then they can always, the suspension can be discharged, so that then it becomes a full law. And by the way, Edu, when you have a challenge with a particular law, normally it is not the entire law. You'll go and cite specific sections in an act, if it is an act of parliament. You'll go and cite specific sections in the act that you feel they contravene the Constitution, they contravene the human rights, they contravene other laws that are well-founded. Not that you will go and say the entire law should be annulled. And therefore, what the court normally do, if it is convinced, or even before it is before even you listen, depending on how you will have framed your petition, then those provisions can be suspended until the case is heard and finally determined. Okay. Then a decision can be made. But of course, we need time to go and relook at that. But I know quite a number of my people have also had time to look at them. Yeah.
Before Raila passed on, he was pushing for this intergenerational conversation. Amongst the leaders that are remaining in opposition, okay, actually the question should be two. Yes. Number one, do you think now Ruto and the Kenya Kwanza government, the broad-based government, yes, can actually push through this conversation? And two, is there a leader you see in the opposition that can push this agenda of
intergeneration? What?
The conversation, because Raila wanted that the country holds a conversation between
the conclave.
Yes.
That was a political statement. That's so many.
It can't be realized.
No, it can't be realized. I think what we have. I don't think we have a listening president. We don't. William doesn't listen. He doesn't listen to anybody. He listens to himself. In fact,
at times he listen to Baba.
Baba? No, he was looking for his Baba's votes.
He was not listening.
No, he was looking for Baba's votes. William knew very well that Raila was staring at an exit. William also is aware that he's lost Mount Kenya. When you lose Mount Kenya, you ensure that you get the Western Bloc. In fact, an area that William is going to really work hard is to ensure that he is able to penetrate Western Province, with hope that even those who are likely to emerge, perhaps that they are not so fierce against him. And he'll also pray so hard that he gets the Nyanza and the Luo Nyanza vote. And I can tell you without a doubt that as we get to the next election, the people in Nyanza are the ones who will be shooting bullets to the Mount Kenya. You know the narrative that will be sprung up? William will tell the people from the Lake region to remind those people from the mountain that they have been in power long enough. And by the way, for information, you know, had Raila Odinga won the presidency with Martha Karua, today we could be talking of the first female president in this country. So power could have still gone back to the Mount Kenya region. Maybe we'll be looking forward to who was going to be appointed as as the deputy president. Yeah. So clearly, William must, the president must work very hard to sustain the momentum in Nyanza, and because it's a do or die to get his second term, he may want to do everything to ensure that the Nyanza region remains with him. And if Western Province falters, a bit and fails to support William Ruto, and Western gets into a coalition agreement, a watertight coalition agreement with the Eastern Province, where we have Kalonzo and Mount Kenya region, and pockets of Coast region and other regions, then William Ruto's presidency will still be in limbo. It will still be quite a challenge. So it depends on how he's going to play his cards.
You talked about our top leaders, Luo leaders, time being, a sunset, kinda.
Yeah.
We know the emergence of the likes of Natembeya,
yeah,
and Edwin Sifuna.
Yes.
Do you think it is time for actually the old guards to pave way, or should the young turks fight their way up?
Two things. I'll have admired the old guards to find a way of having an opportunity to engage with the emerging leadership and convince them that that they can still coexist together. And if that is not foreseeable, there is no harm in the emerging leadership emerging. By the way, the immediate former governor Wangamati said leaders emerge. I think I agree with that. Okay, the context could have been different, but it's true that leaders emerge. The reality is there is nobody who will wake up and give you leadership. Raila Odinga, he started even fighting for leadership even when his father was alive. With the exit of even Speaker, he has fought his way to be where he is. It has not been easy. There is no harm in the likes of Natembeya emerging and fighting for their space. The reality, Edu, is Natembeya is in the conversation of people in Western Province and across the country. If you go to some places, even in Nairobi, you will hear some people mentioning his name. And for a simple reason, he's just been speaking his mind. He's just been speaking truth to power. That is what has endeared him. So unless there is someone who is also doing that, someone like Edwin Sifuna, Wakili, like myself, Edwin stand has been crystal clear when Baba was alive and when he's dead. He has not had a reason to depart from the ideals he stood for. And for that reason, Edwin, he's not elected in Bungoma here. He's elected in Nairobi. But when there are issues in Bungoma, he will still speak about them on the floor of the Senate. He'll still come at home and speak about that. And that is why he has endeared himself to the masses. It's a question of the statements of Sifuna, the statements of George Natembeya, they are disruptive to the old narratives of let's wait. So for that reason, because their statements are disruptive, old narratives of let's wait, let's be patient, let us pray for us. Young people, young demographic trends, young voters, young leaders like ourselves. One, we are also impatient. Number two, we are realistic. Number three, we have ambitions. Number four, the conversation in this country shifted. The reason why William Ruto, for some reason, managed to beat Baba was simple. Baba has talked for a very long time about constitutional reforms, political reforms, and all that. Yet, the world has moved from 2003. Other than the constitutional reforms, President Kibaki quickly noticed that in this country there was a need to have an economic conversation. That is what has picked that trajectory. And for that reason, today, the reason why even William Ruto was able to convince most of us was because he was talking about the economy as people are talking about political reforms. When people are stuck with BBI, we thought we already have a good constitution. And unless you want to change it for the betterment of the people, you are wasting our time. And that is how Baba lost his election, and part of the people are supporting him fully. So as long as the top leadership in Western is not focusing, shifting its conversation, as long as you're talking about the Elijah Wanameme, as long as you're talking about Lukendo Lwa Malakijana, as long as you're talking about and all that, those myths, those conversations, those narratives, they don't hold water for some of us. There are youngsters who are going to vote in this election who did not have a chance to know what Wamala Kijana stood for, other than what they read in the books. There are people who had lost touch with the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga, despite so much that he did for this country. So the conversation has shifted. We are talking about technology. And that is why, today I was in Chwele, and other times when you're engaging people, because there is a by-election in Chwele, you'll hear some people telling you, this vote, we are going to have this vote, but it looks like the people are going to steal the vote. As an advocate, as a youthful voter, as an informed voter, we know very well that elections in this country, they have moved from those days when you could vote and transport these votes to be counted in one sitting place. Whatever you vote today, the polling center is actually the tallying center. People do not know. The polling station is actually the tallying center, because the votes that you cast there, if they are 90, they don't change. When you go to the tallying center, it's a question of making reference to noli ena kitumba ba pele chikura chinga. Chikura chiri sana andiki ba pele chinga. Da pele chikura sana andiki ba ndere fundala. Malana ali mundu fulani anyole chikura 16, okundika anyola chikura 100, se chichenja tawe. Those days holo manga holi, if you are in Bungoma here, maybe wataenda wahesabie kura maybe Bungoma High School. But that is not the case. The voting at the polling stations, they are final. That is the law. That is what IEBC will follow. So nobody can tell you that they are going to change the vote.
You have already dived into Chwele Kapchai, so endelea tunayogia, because before we conclude and move into the comment section, yes, I would like you to talk about our senator. Yeah. The person you paved way for, you stepped down.
Maybe just one comment. I am among the people who, of course, stepped down for my good friend Senator Wakoli, David. I have done a lot of work with David before he became a senator, of course, partly in the party. Then before that, I was in the National Youth Council with him. Then there was Renabag. You remember the Renabag initiative of intergenerational change, yes, for leadership. And he was very vibrant. I was equally very vibrant. So, I mean, we are more or less age mates. He beats me by maybe 1 or 2 years, but we are more or less age mates. And yeah. I think what he needs to do is to step out of the shadow. Of course, he managed to get this seat courtesy of being fully supported by the current Speaker of the National Assembly. He was in the party, he was visible, But now that he's a senator, he quickly needs to step out of the shadow so that he's not seen as a personal assistant of the speaker, so that he's not seen as someone who is still operating under the shades of the umbrella body. He needs to quickly establish his own image, his own brand. Yeah, I saw the other day he did some medical camp and all that for eye clinic. I think that was quite progressive. I was his competitor for senatorial position in 2022 until when the party asked me to step down. Here we are, perhaps.
You did not cut a deal? Wanakwambiaje to step down? Ungeambia bana, what is there for me?
Just because I don't want to get into that. Of course, you'll always have that conversation in the boardroom, boardroom, and
so they promised you something.
Definitely, but I think I don't need to delve in that. We are friends. He's doing his job, and I wish him the very best.
Walikuosha. Walikuosha. Hiyo walikuosha. Eric walikuosha. Nitaki kusema lakini walikuosha.
At times out of respect, I think it's good. Maturity again tells you that there's always a door that God opens for you.
Hii kifungo inafunga.
Lakini ukianza kulia kwa vitu zenye zimepita huko, Raila alitatizika sana. But you see, I mean, we remember the best that he left for this country. So at times something will come your way. It will look like you are getting it, and when you don't get it, you should not continue crying. The best days are always ahead of you.
Chwele Kabuchai.
Chwele Kabuchai.
Patia story ya Chwele Kabuchai sasa tusikie mambo ya hiyo ni backyard yako.
Yeah. Chwele Kabuchai, I just need to first of all declare that I have a candidate in Chwele Kabuchai. I have my namesake. Bandu be Chwele ese ERICK NAKHURENYA. Ndinende kijana ebwene bali ERICK Wekesa. Alumsale wefwe. Alumsale wange. Kijana ino kumaka kwa 2013. Ndiko mulala wa supporter wewe kabisa wa karikari. Ne 2013 keme kura kwa campaign la Governor Lusaka. Hata ndina suvinandi, that could be the reason why Lusaka has a soft spot. Governor Lusaka kabona alifodi Kenya amanya ne college wala amanya ale umwana yoyo ERICK Wekesa kaba kijana wewe kaba candidate wewe Kenya kubaka MCA those days. 2017 ERICK Wekesa keme kura katima chikura sa cholata ERICK khamarana apa bandiki minita habona ERICK nakela na kimirundu amana akena nende kimini khupa bandu amana akhirisi abantu tawe 2022 kemekura nende msale wefe Mheshimiwa Baraza Mkhongo kwa bahati mbaya kwa mtibisi Mheshimiwa Baraza Mkhongo na kholola history yewe sakaba membeleke utawe sakaba mululu mbuchu we khupa bandu tawe namekhuse ya bandu tawe kaba an open minded person manyene nani yekatete yanga bandu mucholo mwabo langali niyo mundu wa biashara mbali luno ERICK nemekura ne babandi babemile ndo msala wange hata bali yoko ndi bali vini ali mfort Kenya luno aba ERICK neke masa ekine edu. This is the fourth time luno khola khane nenyasa be bandu befwe ERICK sinakhole ne kazi atesebele ni kunywa moga mechi echo elisimbe odisi yao elisebele ni esese nende ERICK nende engineer Grievin wasike nende vijana babandi na alimata saikino assistant chief we saikino oli mchwele bali amosomalo khola naye kazi ngene. Ninajua kwamba tumetembea na huyo kijana. Ali kijana mpole. Nemwe kawa kama mwenye mundu omusomi. Onyala kacha ka move assembly enende chi bills nende chi policies. ERICK Wekesa ali omusomi. Kawa kama mwenye kijana oli muraka, omundu oli muraka. ERICK Wekesa ali muraka. Na hasabile kwa heshima nandi welewe khilanga mu bandu befwe ne mupula bandi kura ne babire kura amwikhilemo mupule kijana wewe ERICK Wekesa abe MCA wa Chwele Kabuchai tarehe 27 kumwezi kwicha na msabile kwa heshima ese ndi wakili ndasabanga rundi nandi abo banakholanga campaign ye vitisho ye kimini ye kimibano ye lifu ne kakande nenye sabe nakende nanga khomsoko monenge ndanyola taba mayibe betetekhe nerundi nenye sabe bandu bechwele omundu akhamutimya ambolali ekura omundu anyala keba tawe sai kino chikura nicho kupa sechiri chikura chekhale nicho kwapanga na khustone kama box khuyilebisa kala tawe ekura niye upile ne bakibala kuna banende agents befwe ne babolile ekura niye wapi no upile esa nandiki ekura yo abo wapila abwe nao banakibala sena change mbao na kichenja tawe ne elimsakala mbao na kichenja tawe ne eli abundu osi ne elimatibo ne elimwale yeyo ne nyemusabe kwa heshima nandi nabapa campaign hakupe campaign ye kumulembe nenyalundi sabe bandu befwe ekura ino hakucha mukura ino khubela kiongozi wefwe mheshimiwa Muhongo katiba ekura ino sakucha khupa khubela wakana fulani nende fulani khabayinga na tawe. This is not a supremacy battle. Kikatiba bandu befwe babandu bechwele bali nende right to representation. Saise muli nende MCA ne katiba emuelesya bubwe yangu bwe khuselecta bwe khurobora omundu cha khumwimelela ili arebe mipango ke county echwele sainge municipality ne chibanks chiliyo ne libindi bya security lights ne chili chisebele ne bindu bindi ne chili chibasaris omundu nyala cha khureba ali MCA wenywe na musabele kwa heshima nande khubandu babemele chikura bali bakali lakini ngese mulala wenywe olumusale omenya wechwele dinende kijana bali ERICK Wekesa ni kijana mwenzetu ni kiongozi katika jamii and we are fully supporting ERICK Wekesa because of who he is kati milekura chavali chitaru luno lukhora khane ahapa ho mundu ta ahakho ho mundu ta na khamusabele kwa heshima mbo liba lyeneli khwenya omundu nyala kacha kaya babandu kaolelesya bandu kimyoyo mala kabaruka mungira eli endai murimu.
That is quite detailed. So mimi ningependa sasa tuingie kwa comments.
Yes,
tunaongea kwa muda. And yeah, tutaanza na Senior Caleb Kundu. Anasema hello Edu, tuned live from Cairo, Egypt. Khaisia wakili ERICK. In the wake of Raila's exit, yes, Kenya's political landscape is undergoing a profound transformation. How can emerging political coalitions navigate these realignments while avoiding the pitfalls in ethnic patronage and ensure sustainable governance?
I think we can answer that. Elections in this country and leadership in this country, it's purely ethnic based. That's the reality. The reason why we looked at Raila Odinga as a formidable candidate is because one, before akiingia kwa meza, before you start negotiation, he comes and says I have Nyanza and I have Nairobi 60%. And before William Ruto even entered into a coalition agreement with Uhuru Kenyatta, Uhuru was coming and saying I already have Mount Kenya, and William Ruto was saying I already have Rift Valley. So in this country it's ethnic, and even in our constitution it says government appointments should reflect Kenya's diversity. This constitution was passed by Kenyans. The drafters of the constitution and the people who wanted the constitution, they knew very well that Kenya is one country, but it's a community of nations, nations in terms of different tribes, and the constitution itself appreciates and recognizes diversity, including in government appointments. Even the way the National Assembly is constituted, you will see someone from Turkana, he's elected as a member of Turkana East. You will go to Elgeyo Marakwet, you will go to Nyanza, you will go to in fact, even some of our universities, they are named with ethnic names. Turkana University, you go to Coast, maybe they are saying, regionalism is there. Even at independence, we had Majimbo. The reason why we have even Majimbo, devolved government, is because we realized that if we never decentralized power and we never decentralized resources, those who set their feet in power in the presidency, they were actually developing the areas at the expense of other areas. Remember that the initial economic policies, especially led by Tom Mboya, there is the secessional paper of 1965. It had recommended that main development should only be done in areas of high potential. That secessional paper identified some regions, and some of the regions were along the railway line and the highland areas. And for that reason, areas of drylands, even some parts of Western Province, they were actually left out in the national conversation of economic development. That when you get money, go and develop areas of high value. But today we are discovering that even Turkana, even Mandera, even South Nyanza, even Western Province, these are areas that can actually be harnessed for economic development of this country. For that reason, you cannot run away. You cannot say that so and so is a tribalist. All these leaders are leaders of tribes. The only conversation we need to have is having a tribe in a positive manner is not bad. Get your share. And those who also need to get their share, let them get their share.
All right. I was just looking into these questions. Okay. Wesonga Kennedy says,
Yes.
Umwami Eric.
Yes.
Okay, ask Eric the issue of expiry of ID and what happens upon expiry.
Ordinarily, we should not be having expiry of IDs. But if you have an ID that is showing, like in Uganda, actually IDs are usually, they have expiry dates. And it's always a move also for the government to make money. I mean, if you introduce IDs that expire, you know very well that anytime you're going to renew, perhaps you might need to pay something to the government. Just like passports. You know, when you have a passport, it has an expiry period. And for that reason, some of these policies by the government, they are also intended to ensure that, I mean, their population is updated. Of course, if you're going to even get an ID now, you realize it's even a new generation ID with the features and all. There is so much that is taken. Unlike if you're still walking around with an ID that you took in 1997, it is still an ID, still a valid ID. But if you lose and you go and get another one, you realize that the features are different. It will even take your current. You cannot go there and say no, nataka tu ile picha yangu nilitumia 1997. No, they'll take even your current face as your photo and all that. Yeah. So clearly, at times, the government also must find a way of getting money from the masses.
Eugene Mkewa. I'm following him keenly from Nakuru.
Yes.
Kindly ask Wakili
Yes.
about his plans
Yes.
as we approach the next general election. Since we realize that our sitting senator, Wakoli, is not known even to his fellow colleagues, as it was witnessed during the send-off of Baba Raila. Otherwise, he has our blessings. Talk about your plans.
At the moment, I just want to focus on legal practice. Legal practice is very good because I am able to serve the community. I'm already representing quite a number of my people in courts and also advisory and raising awareness in matters legal. Like I indicated as an advocate, I think you enjoy the latitude of respect. And again, you can be able to get some legal briefs. So we are having quite a number of legal briefs. I have had an opportunity to employ some of our youngsters who are working under me, and I also have a chance to partner with other established my seniors in the legal profession. And then I should be able to contribute to the direction of the community as an opinion shaper in matters leadership. We are not going to shy away from that. I have never shied away from offering my mind in matters leadership in this county, and of course I think even in the legal opinions and in topic opinions in dailies, some of our print medias. Yeah, so I think that is a conversation that I want to keep and move forward. But of course, having said that, it's without a doubt that I am a presumptive elective leader at the right time. Yeah.
Presumptive. Dennis Wahungu.
In Qatar. I worked with Dennis in one of my companies. Okay. I think he's now in Qatar. He must be the one. Yeah.
All right. So he's saying, can Wakili share an overview of Bungoma gubernatorial race? Who's suitable to lead this county and salvage it from this tinted leadership?
No, it's a 3-horse race. We have the immediate former governor, Wangamati, who's a good friend of mine. We have my good brother, Honorable Didmas Baraza, who has come up visibly, and he's currently doing very well. He's not a pushover. You cannot ignore him. We have my good friend. I have not had a close conversation with him. My good friend, Honorable Tim. He prefers to be called Tim Wanyonyi, but people, I think here, Nairobi people will call him Tim Wanyonyi, but here they'll just call him Tim Wetangula. Yes. Before Tim announced his intention to run for Bungoma governor's position, I was interviewed by one of the local stations, Sulu FM, and that time I didn't know whether Tim was coming, because some of us who were in Nairobi, we were coalescing together. You remember we started something called Alternative Voice in this county, and we wanted to move Alternative Voice to Nairobi so that we could find a team that could coalesce around a gubernatorial candidate. And that time we had actually identified Honorable Tim Wanyonyi as a governor candidate in 2027. But of course, when I heard that he was coming to Bungoma, I said, fine, let's wait and see, because as a matter of fact, as a matter of right, you can vie any part of the country. Songo was in Nairobi. He moved his elective base in Mombasa until he was blocked. So I told people, the team, like any other person, had a right to run for governor in Bungoma or in Nairobi or any other part of this country. And of course, eventually he opted to come to Bungoma. My view was one, that as he comes to Bungoma, one, he will have to find a way of a strategy of dealing with the name Wetangula, because Wetangula has been around for quite some time, and people might start looking at him and say, are we having another Wetangula in Bungoma and all that? So I mean, I indicated that first of all he'll have to deal with the family name. How he plays around that is up to his team, himself and his strategies, because I'm not part of his strategy team and I'm not part of the strategy team of anybody. But I mean, as an analyst, as an opinion shaper, I gave my comment, and of course also as a strategist. And I also indicated that another thing that he needed to put into consideration was packaging, messaging, and ensuring that his landing is properly received. That time again he had not landed. Then I have had time to look at his landing. It looks like he over-trusted the members of parliament. And in my view, some of these members of parliament are on their way home. They're actually homebound, quite a number of them. Then some of them, they have what you call voter fatigue. There are people who have been in power for quite some time. Then some of them are also not strategic in addressing the voters. Kwa vile kuru unabembeleza. Just the way he tries to talk to people nicely. But some of the people around Tim Wanyonyi, they are actually sending away people. And if he's not very careful, sooner or later, he'll be left alone. Yeah. I am not part of Tim Wanyonyi's strategy team. I am simply giving my view. I gave this view before he even declared. And I have indicated it's a 3-horse race. Of course, there is the immediate former governor, Wangamati. There is Didmas. There is Tim Wanyonyi. All of them, they stand a chance to be the governor for Bungoma.
Okay, I don't know why our technical team has not been doing comments on the screen. I noticed we have so much members have been writing comments, but I've just picked a few because of time. I think we're going to end there. I would like to say asante sana once again to create time for us.
Yes, asante.
Kama kawaida, you have been you always come through.
Yes.
And looking at the viewership,
yes.
Naona watu hapo wale wanakuangalia, wengine wako ng'ambo, wengine najua ni watu ambao
wanaangalia their future senator.
Naona wengi wao just you take time and go through the comments. You will see what most of them have written. Yes, so asanteni sana for joining us today. Tumekuwa na wakili Eric. Eric has talked about so much. Wale ambao mmefika saa hii tuki-end tu anza fresh ndio muone kitu ambacho amesema. Tomorrow tutakuwa bunge la mwananchi pale Simba Street. Tutakuwa hapo kuanzia hiyo saa 10, but before tuanze bunge formally, tutakuwa na engineer atakuwa anakuja tu DW, anakuja tuongee mambo kidogo ya social, alisema inaitwa social what? Social something. What is the title again? I'm forgetting. Hiyo mtajulia kwa post ile nitapeana. And The next day we'll be having Mama Rebecca Masbai. Pia tutaongea naye. Then I've lined up Wanyalipopo. Wako wanakuja kwa show. Sisi tunaongelesha kila mtu ambaye ni stakeholder hapa. So thank you very much Wakili. And yeah, to my crew. Yes. And everyone who followed, who was watching. Asanteni sana. You guys have a good night. And by the way, tuwezi funga bila kushukuru Members Club. Wale ambao mjafika Members Club, kujeni muone. This place is nice. Iko na grounds mzuri for functions. Functions both private and those public functions. Mtapata nafasi hapa. Kuna chakula mzuri sana hapa. Kuna pia mnaweza kuchukua membership. I'm a member by the way. So mnaweza kuchukua membership na mko mnaenjoy some of those services they give here. So thank you very much and have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you, my brother. It's been awesome, man. Thank you, dude, for your team. This is an amazing team.
Yes.
We look forward to having